All the players are only allowed to use Pokemon in the Kalos decks, and the flaw that there aren't quite the variety of Pokemon that maybe they're used to using, and Grass and Fire are two types where the variety is kind of weak. So you see Rotom being used in both of these forms, one on each team, with the Oven Rotom on one side, the Mo Rotom on the other, to kind of make up for the lack of powerful Fire and Grass types. Jeudy's got that Charizard as his Fire type, so he's able to use the Mo Rotom instead. Pretty exciting to see. Definitely a Pokemon I haven't seen used seriously in a very long. Other players did to try to get advantage on the more common Pokemon that way, or they just use something really rogue like that Rotom, Sajan's Pachirisu on the other side of the bracket. It just seems like that's what you have to do to make it through in a tournament like this.
Or even the Machamp on Markus' side.
Right.
So everyone has their own special bag of tricks, and now here in the top 4, we have to see whose is going to come out on top. We are jumping right into battle as we do see Machamp and Hydreigon appearing on the side for Markus, up against that Garchomp and Charizard for Jeudy. Kind of a more standard start for Jeudy up against that Machamp, but we did see Machamp had some really powerful tools for dealing with both of these Pokemon.
Yeah, Machamp is not normally one of the Pokemon you'd be that afraid of, but since we saw that Choice Scarf, immediately Jeudy has to be careful here. He doesn't want to take a Rock Slide for free, he doesn't want to take an Ice Punch for free, so he's going to kind of figure out what Machamp's going to lock into here and adjust appropriately. Hydreigon also able to do big damage to both of these Pokemon, and more importantly, big damage to most of Judy's switch options here, so there aren't a whole lot of safe plays for him. He's going to have to try to figure out how to mitigate damage here, and I think protecting is a smart way to scout those choice items.
Yeah, there's no safer play than to hide behind a shield, as both Pokemon are going to protect both the Charizard and the Garchomp. Just want to scout out, see what the Hydreigon or the Machamp go ahead and lock themselves into. The Ice Punch on Machamp, and then Draco Meteor from that Hydreigon. So great scouting information for Jeudy. Either now we'll be able to adjust appropriately to a switch in, or pressure and force Markus to switch out.
Yeah, it's still going to be risky as far as what he can bring in here. He's got a Tyranitar, so if he has that in the back, it could be pretty safe here, as well as Lucario. But yeah, that's kind of the weakness of having two choice items, is that, if you get them out in kind of in the flow of battle where both sides don't have the protect up, or there's been a little more damage done, things are a little bit more dangerous. But when you lead two choice Pokemon like this, it's very easy just to scout out what they're going to do and then adjust appropriately.
And it looks like Jeudy is going to immediately adjust, switches out Garchomp in favor of that Tyranitar that you mentioned he had in the back. Tyranitar is going to show up, kick up a Sandstorm, make sure that everything's nice and sandy so it can protect itself from any incoming special attacks. Charizard, however, is going to Mega Evolve right away, and here comes the Sun, clean out that Sandstorm, and the Drought ability will cause the Sun to be on the field. So negating its own weather immediately there, but fortunately Jeudy is probably not too worried about that. Ice Punch does go in from that Machamp onto the Tyranitar. Going to go ahead and stick with his guns as Overheat coming out from Charizard onto Machamp. Is it going to be enough to get the KO? Yes. A clean KO, one-hit KO from that Mega Charizard Y, and that huge threat to that Garchomp is now off the field. We do see the Draco Meteor coming in, probably an equally powerful attack from that Hydreigon. It is going to connect with Charizard Y, and it will get the KO as well. So trading a Mega for a Scarfed Machamp. Worth?
I mean, usually no, right? That Mega, normally the most important Pokemon on your team, so on the surface, not a very good trade. I do think that Machamp is very difficult for Jeudy to deal with. Once he gets it to lock into a move, he has a number of safe switches. If it's locked into Dynamic Punch, Garchomp deals with it decently well. If it's locked into Ice Punch, there's several resistances. But once it's out there and unlocked, you kind of have to protect both Pokemon, and if you can't, or if you don't have a safe switch left, you're going to take a lot of damage. So he does get rid of that Machamp before we get to the point of the game where it will become most difficult for him to deal with. However, now he doesn't have his Mega to deal with this Mile. So great job on Markus's end. He removes the biggest threat to his own Mega, which in this case has double value by being the opponent's Mega, and he's really going to need to Right, so Jeudy's really going to need to be careful now, because he can't afford to lose this Garchomp too easily with two Pokemon that can knock it out on the other side of the field if he wants to control this Mile.
Yep, Jeudy is going to go ahead and protect again, as well will the Mawile on Markus's side. Mawile, of course, also getting the double Intimidate off of both Garchomp and Tyranitar. It's going to be very bad for both of those. Rock Slide comes out, does a little bit of damage, but gets the flinch. So gets basically free damage that turn.
Yeah, well, free at the cost of information, right? Which sometimes is the greatest damage you can do in a game like this. Tyranitar moving before Hydreigon is a little bit suspicious, right? You probably figure out something about that Tyranitar's Choice Scarf when it does so. And the flaw in that is that, now that Mawile knows it's safe from Tyranitar at least, unless it gets flinched, not as likely the Garchomp will go for the Earthquake unless Tyranitar switches as well. You don't want to do a bunch of damage to your teammate. So the available moves for Jeudy are really limited here, and that's going to make this play easier for Markus. There's a number of things he can do here to kind of manage the situation to reduce the potential losses here. He does probably want to get Hydreigon out at some point, get that reset from that Draco Meteor special attack drop, but pretty good spot for him right now.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting position here. And of course, the worst thing for a Scarf Tyranitar is to be intimidated, because it really just wants to hit hard and hit fast, and if it's intimidated, it doesn't hit quite as hard. We do see that Heat Rotom is going to come out on the field for Markus, and Mawile is going to go ahead and Mega Evolve just to get some offensive pressure. We do see Rock Slide still coming out from that Scarf Tyranitar on Jeudy's side. Deals some decent damage to the Heat Rotom, but thanks to that Intimidate, not quite enough. The Garchomp is going to get the Dragon Claw, though, dealing some good damage as well. But again, both of those Intimidates potentially saving that Heat Rotom from being in a much worse position. Although it is going to be able to heal off some of that damage with the Citrus Berry. The Play Rough is going to come through, though, and that's why Mega Mawile is so dangerous. Does get a clean KO off onto that Garchomp.
Yeah, it's an easy, important KO there. With these Intimidates up there, not too hard for Mawile to get whichever one of the two it wants. Takes the easier knockout there, and Salamence is going to have a big uphill battle here. This Intimidate onto Mawile will help slow it down a little bit for now, but it's going to be tough. Tyranitar locked into that Rock Slide, not going to be able to do a whole lot anymore for the rest of the battle. I mean, Rotom will probably faint to 2 Rock Slides, but it's not like that's not huge damage, right? And there's still 2 more Pokemon left who Rock Slide isn't going to do much against. So it's really all about the Salamence right now, and especially once this drought drops, it's going to have a hard time taking out this Mawile.
Yeah, and at this point, it looks like Tyranitar is just going to be fishing for flinches with his Rock Slides on any target that's not named Heat Rotom. We do see the attack going into the Protect on the Mawile, as well as the Rock Slide coming back out, and is going to be able to get the KO on the Heat Rotom with a critical hit, a turn earlier than expected, probably. So Heat Rotom not going to be able to do anything this turn, and the Fire Blast into the Protect on Mega Mawile.
We haven't seen it yet, but Salamence is another of those Pokemon that normally holds a choice item, so having to lock into Fire Blast to give him a chance of dealing with this Mawile definitely limits the options here. A combination of Fire Blast and, well, I guess really just Fire Blast in the drought is going to knock out that Mawile if he gets the attack off, so he does have that going for him, but it's going to be tough to finish this game out here. It is possible that Tyranitar can actually finish this game, as strange as it sounds, even intimidated, because if he does get down to just Hydreigon versus Tyranitar, that forever decreasing special attack from Draco Meteor could be all Tyranitar needs.
Yeah, and we do see the Rock Slide coming out again, dealing some decent damage to that Hydreigon. And the Fire Blast from Salamence is going to connect onto that Mega Mawile with the Drought Boost, is going to be a KO there. So Mega Mawile off the field, and Hydreigon's probably going to have to try to get the KO on this Salamence. Oh, but the Heaven Berry going to reduce the damage from the Draco Meteor, potentially giving Jeudy's Salamence an extra turn here. Is it going to be able to survive? Will he get a critical hit? Oh, he does get the KO, even without the special attack falls. Even with the Heaven Berry, Salamence not able to survive that. The sheer power of that Hydreigon.
Kind of seeing just how strong Hydreigon is. Both this game and kind of the last series, seemed like once Hydreigon was going there, just getting KOs I wouldn't have expected. Likely complete maximum special attack here, but Tyranitar is still going to be a tough opponent for it to finish off.
Yeah, here comes the Rock Slide, dealing great damage, a critical hit, single target. Tyranitar does get the KO there, and Jeudy takes a 1-0 lead over Markus.
And that crit, unlike the first one, probably didn't matter too much there. Unless Tyranitar missed a Rock Slide, it would have finished it off with another, but really impressive finish there. Jeudy fell behind a little bit there, but was able to come back. Scarftar showing its strength there. Even once its damage is reduced, the power of flinches, the potential of critical hits, it's a lot to deal with. So ignoring it the way Markus did there, it can always come back to bite you. The odds weren't in its favor all the time there, but that's one of the reasons why you use a Pokemon like that. When every time you're attacking, you've got a chance of something going your way in addition to the damage you're always going to get. However, last series we did see Markus make an amazing comeback, so I'm sure falling down this first game probably isn't going to throw him off off too much, especially this late in the World Championships, where typically you've lost several games by this point, but all that matters is you win 2 of 3.
Exactly, just 2 more. As we mentioned, Markus had lost to Ryosuke during Swiss and went down at least 3 games, then managed to pull out the 2 that mattered. And we'll have to see if he can pull out the 2 that matter in this one, as we're headed right into team preview. Markus on the top of your screen, Mawile, Heat Rotom, Azumarill, Hydreigon, Machamp, and Venusaur up against Jeudy's Garchomp, Charizard, Salamence, Tyranitar, Rotom, and Lucario. Do you really think that Jeudy or Markus needs to make any adjustments here as far as Pokemon? Because it looked like their 4 Pokemon did a really great job for what they wanted to do, and it just came down to a couple of key plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think that both sides are probably at least a little leery about the original matchup. In the sense that one side lost, the other side could very easily have done so. So you got to think about ways to optimize. But looking at their other Pokemon, there doesn't seem like there's a whole lot that they could do to really improve those odds, unless they want to change the game a lot. Markus has the option of switching Megas if he thinks that'll help him, but he didn't do that at all during the previous series against Ryosuke, who had some similar important Pokemon as Jeudy does. So I wouldn't expect to see that here.
Yeah, and we do see Garchomp and Charizard on the field for Jeudy, and Mawile and Machamp on the field for Markus. So we're going to go ahead and get Intimidate pressure from that Mawile onto Garchomp, and still keeping the threat of Scarf Rock Slides coming up from that Machamp.
I think this is a much better lead for Markus, and sometimes that's all the adjustment you need to make. Instead of leading 2 choice Pokemon this time, he only leads 1. He gets that Intimidate off with Mawile. If he wants to, he can switch now into that Hydreigon like he did the previous game, and not just give that free Protect this time, though. We see a quicker switch this time, so Jeudy also making some adjustments. Yeah,
Jeudy going to go ahead and retreat Garchomp for Salamence. Of course, 2 physical attackers on the field here. Salamence is going to feel pretty nice getting the Intimidate on both of those. And the Charizard is going to go ahead and Mega Evolve, sticking around, so we now have 2 Flying-type Pokemon on the field. If that Machamp does decide to go for the Rock Slide this turn, could be devastating. A really bold play from Jeudy right here. Sunlight is going to be harsh as the Mega Mawile comes out on the field. Going to get another heavy hitter right and ready to fight. And we do see that we are going to have a Sucker Punch come out from that Mega Mawile, just trying to get as much damage done as possible. Sucker Punch onto that Charizard, and the Rock Slide connecting with both of them. The Sucker Punch plus the Rock Slide going to be a KO on that Charizard, and dealing great damage to that, some good damage to that Salamence as well.
Something about Markus in the first turn of games is just impressive. Once again, he makes the perfect read in the first play of a game. This is why he survived the last series, and he's put him ahead in this game. Does a great job there. Jeudy not choosing to protect the Charizard the way he did the first game. He anticipates this happening, goes all in on attacking that Charizard and gets it. We mentioned the previous game, he gave up Charizard kind of easily. It didn't really come back to haunt him, but when you don't get a Pokemon at all for it, let alone a less valuable Pokemon, not good. It's going to be a really tough game to come back from now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially with that Mega Mawile on the field, putting some incredible pressure on offensive pressure on Jeudy, even if it's going to protect this turn. We do see that Heat Rotom comes out on the field as the Earthquake coming out from Garchomp, going to hit nobody thanks to the Protect, as well as the Levitate coming out from Heat Rotom.
Yeah, nice job there. Makes a free switch and stays in the lead. This board position's kind of weak now as far as Mawile have to deal with the Salamence Fire Blasting and the Garchomp Earthquaking, so not likely to be able to stay in here. But unless if you can make another safe switch here and maybe get a Protect off, you can get that advantage back without having given up much health.
And we do see a pretty safe switch here. Azumarill coming in against a Garchomp and a Salamence, going to take some damage from that Rock Slide, and Rotom taking just under half HP there from the Rock Slide. And we do see the Life Orb coming out. And is that Rock Tomb we see from that Salamence onto the Azumarill? And the flinch! Another flinch for Jeudy, gets the flinch onto Heat Rotom, making sure that nothing comes out of that Pokemon this turn.
Yeah, big turn there, gets a bunch of damage, and now he's starting to come back here. Even though he didn't actually take a Pokemon down, both of them are starting to get low enough for a combination of 2 attacks to knock them out. Rock Tomb, certainly not a move you see very often. The rock-type attacks for Salamence are bleak,
limited.
Typically in VGC, it's trained to be more of a special attacker, so you're not getting huge damage from either Stone Edge or Rock Slide. Rock Tomb still gets the knockout on Talonflame and also lowers speed, so it gets some extra utility on top of the damage you normally get. Not a really common option, but it's been seen a lot this season in Habanberry Salamence.
And we do see the Protect coming out from that Azumarill, just trying to stall out these earthquakes coming out from Jeudy's Garchomp. Salamence is going to be able to use this Draco Meteor onto the Heat Rotom, though, and at just over half HP is going to be able to pick up the KO. Really clutch damage roll there, not activating a Citrus Berry, so that Salamence could pick up that KO.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be super bothered by having given this up, though. He gets Machamp in for free now. Salamence that lowered special attack. But Garchomp's been intimidated, so he's just... It's a tough spot now. He's going to have to figure out how he's going to adjust again. I think Rotom wasn't really doing very much for Markus here as far as how he's going to close this game out. Not especially good against either of these Pokemon. So kind of losing it there, but getting the switch in exchange for that, it's a good trade. It's more important to have better board position as long as you're not super far behind in the Pokemon score than to have a huge Pokemon lead but not actually be able to make any plays. So I would like that play a lot if I was Markus.
And it looks like we might see some heavy plays coming out from this Machamp, which loves the matchup. We already saw its Ice Punch against both Salamence and Garchomp. Tyranitar is going to come back out on the field for Jeudy. This was the star, the MVP of last game, taking home the win for Jeudy. Garchomp is going to protect, trying to bait out that Ice Punch. Does correctly predict the Ice Punch there, but play rough from Azumarill onto the Tyranitar. The switch in, it's super effective, and Tyranitar faints without even doing anything.
Yeah, that's not good for Jeudy there. He was kind of just in a position where he was pinned. Like I mentioned, losing that Rotom actually put Markus in a much better situation. Ice Punch at either target would have been a knockout. So one of the two was going to switch out to Tyranitar there. He guessed right. He got a knockout, and now he's got Salamence back out with the Intimidate on two physical attackers. So at least Jeudy gets some help there, but there's not going to be too much reprieve. That Ice Punch still going to be doing tons of damage here. Play rough, still going to be able to probably knock out Salamence. Not quite Garchomp here, but the damage is big, especially considering if he wants to reset those Intimidates, he still has a remaining Pokemon to kind of switch around here. So much better position for Markus, but Jeudy's definitely not lost yet.
Yeah, Markus is going to stick around, use that Scarfed Ice Punch onto Salamence, gets the KO. Free KO there from Machamp. He's hoping to make it two. The Earthquake comes out from Jeudy's Garchomp, trying to fish for some big damage here. It gets the critical hit on Machamp and gets the KO onto Azumarill, but it looks like Machamp is just barely hanging on. Will it go down to the Sandstorm? The Sandstorm ticks a little bit. No! Stays on with just the tiniest bit of HP. We're gonna have to see if this Garchomp can successfully stall this out, though, with a Protect.
Yeah, should be able to do so, and then we have just Garchomp against Maul here. With that Life Orb from Garchomp, that Earthquake is going to do an awful lot of damage. Also, we've seen Earthquake hit Maul before, but it does do more damage when there's only one Pokemon left in the field, so Garchomp may be able to do this.
Garchomp goes ahead and protects, the Ice Punch into the Protect, Iron Head into the Protect, and now here comes the Sandstorm damage. Machamp is going to fall as the chants of USA erupt here in the stadium. Machamp goes down, and we are going to see another one-on-one duel at the very end of this match. If Garchomp can take this home, Jeudy will advance to the finals. If not, Markus can force a Game 3. Here it comes, the Earthquake coming out from Jeudy's Garchomp. Is it going to be enough to get the KO? It's going all the way down. Super effective, and it's a one-hit KO. Mawile goes down. Garchomp gets the KO with that Life Orb, and Jeudy in a 2-0 victory is our first finalist.
Yeah, it doesn't look too happy about it, but what an impressive victory there. Garchomp able to come back from the 1-3 deficit, get Jeudy a win, and he is a world finalist now. Looks like it doesn't quite suck in yet, but for this long season, he's going to be one of the last two players standing, and tomorrow he's going to have a chance to become the world champion.
Yeah, for a player who hasn't really made his name yet, he's certainly come out swinging in this tournament. Those were two incredible matches where it was a slugfest, and it was incredibly entertaining to watch, and it turns out that Jeudy was just a little bit stronger in this.